And we are live once again, back in the flesh.
Yep.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being patient. I think we're just around 2 minutes late, but we always try to be on time.
We try.
So we try our best, but sometimes slip up. But thankfully, we have good, understanding and kind subscribers.
Yeah,
That
because I've never seen them actually like try to gun for us over that. Thank God.
No, not really. I mean, we don't really have too many. We have like what 1.6 thousand subscribers, so we don't have. I don't know if we have enough yet to
For them to gripe,
get.
I
Yeah,
guess.
for them to gripe. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely to gripe.
Yeah. That might change in the future. But um, I was gonna say thank you guys. I mean, like I said, what we're doing is basically we're just reading another 10 pages of Convicts or Conquistadors Part Two, essentially, right? And we're just gonna talk about you know the channel, like reflect on what's happened the past year. And that's pretty much it. It's not going to be super long. Probably like less than an hour.
Yeah, we're gonna be in less than an hour. So for those of we should do a little shout out real quick. Shout out to Gabby, of course, and Tochly, and someone else was in here. Carmen was in here. Shout out to Dr. Andy and Ali Tron Kai Ju. I try to pronounce that the best I can. But yeah, thank you all so much for tuning in. Someone asked if we've seen The Sopranos.
I haven't.
I have not. Oh, you have?
Uh-uh.
Okay. I have not either. To be honest, like my knowledge of TV shows is kind of limited because, well, like TV series, especially like not real life situations, but with like actual people. I'm not much of a Netflix watcher guy, or just like before Netflix, just like TV series. Um, but yeah, anyway, I digress. So yeah, kind of what Wanchaloa said. We're just gonna talk about our reflection time here. It's been almost a year. We started in 2020 on the 31st
That's
of
right.
December, and we're about 5 days away.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Now, but gonna do this video because the next video you'll see by us will be next year. Like it won't be before the 31st.
unless you make a surprise live.
Yeah, unless that happens. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it might not.
Yeah. Um, which I was joking. If you do make a surprise live, that'd be cool. I'll try to tune in. But yeah, this will likely be our last live for the year. Unfortunately, um, we might. Well, I'm going to try and upload a video, possibly a travel video, but
Hell yeah,
we'll
dude.
talk about it. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I haven't told any of our fans this, but over the summer I got the chance to go to Central America, in Mexico as well, since Mexico and Central America, two different places. Um, just doing some exploring, I guess you could say. So I managed to go through Cancun, Valladolid. I don't know how to pronounce it. Um, and what else? I got to go to some other cities south of Cancun. Sorry, I was reading a comment. The Why Are Two Cis Men Making a Channel. But yeah, what else? Where are the other cities? I can't remember the other cities' names right now. But anyway, south of Cancun. And I just really wanted to see what life was like there, because I've always had a lot of interest in that area. And I was really fortunate to go. After Mexico, I had got to go to Belize, which is really different from Mexico. Um, I was on a couple islands called Key Colker. That's where I stayed. Um, and then I went to Guatemala, and I managed to go to Antigua for a couple of days and explore the culture there, the beautiful Mayan country. I made a lot of friends there, made a lot of connections. Um, I would say 10 years ago, I was not as social as I am now. I think just a lot of exposure when I entered the workforce really got me going, among like a couple other things too. So yeah, I managed to go through a lot of those countries. It was really fun. What advice would I give to young travelers out there? Would it just be, what I did was just, I saved my money. I worked hard. Um, I don't have a family or kids or anything, so that helps. Um, but yeah, I just knew what to spend my money on, what to save and what to invest in, and just be smart. Not getting myself into trouble, I would say. But yeah, that was my summer. Oh, I got to go to Arizona too, which was really beautiful. That was a wedding. I think I brought that up earlier. I got to go to Sedona in Phoenix. But yeah, sorry, this video is not about Marcus and his travels. This is about a reflection.
Yeah, you need to make a video called Marcus Man of the World and then just fucking go into all that.
Yeah, yeah, maybe I will soon. Actually, I thought about us making another channel or two, possibly connected to this. That might be in the works as well.
Oh,
Um,
for this guy named Desi, man, like, look, bro, you can just figure it out yourself. I'm gonna put you in timeout. I'm not gonna bother with that shit. There we go.
so, Carmen here has a question. Uh, do you speak Spanish? Just wondering how you communicated on your travels. Good question, Carmen. So I don't think many people know this, or maybe I think most people actually do, but a lot don't. But I mean, not that it's an excuse, but I was adopted, um, and so obviously I did not grow up in a Spanish-speaking household. Um, I well, most adoptees from South America do not grow up in Spanish-speaking households in the United States. Maybe there are a couple that do. Um, so I took Spanish class in high school. I took a couple years of it. I took a year in college. Um, so my Spanish is quite limited, unfortunately. Um, a lot of people in Belize actually. Belize is the only country in Central America where English is actually the first language, the national language. And I think they do speak Spanish too, but English is their official language there, because it was a colony of the British. Now, I'm not too familiar with my history, um, with how the British obtained Belize, but I think it was through war with Spain or something. I need to look more into that. So that's why my Spanish isn't that good. But that's not an excuse. I should be speaking Spanish fluently, um, and I'm working on that. But what else? I can speak some Chinese too, but that's another story for another time. um, so yeah, that's how I got around. Well, it's funny because in Cancun, like obviously, it's just majority Spanish speaking city. But I was able to use what little Spanish I could to communicate. But I myself was learning a lot of Spanish, um, and I really managed to pick up the language. Obviously, in Belize, it was English speaking, but then when I got into Guatemala, it was back to using Spanish again. And I'm telling you, like I'm be very truthful, is that at the end of my journey on my taxi back from Antigua to Guatemala City, which was where the major airport was, I managed to hold conversations in Spanish with the taxi driver because I was in Cancun for a week. It was much longer than it actually needed to be. But I really got the opportunity to learn about the culture there, just how much the workers, just the people in the tourism industry, just how much time and they put into just making that place really beautiful. So I really highly recommend that, guys, if you go to Cancun, please make sure to tip the people there that work there well, work in hotels, maids, those that are there to serve you, because it goes a long way.
Oh, I got a funny story about tipping, dude. So like, I was in Monterey back in September, and I had a waiter, and he was like serving me food, right? And I needed to go to the gas station because I wanted to just buy some water or some shit, but I didn't know where it was, and so I asked him like, "Hey, we're gonna go to the nearest gas station." He just kind of gave like really vague directions, like, "Oh, it's like over there or whatever." So like, okay, cool. And so like I signed the receipt, and like I gave him like a 20. No, I gave him more than a 20% tip. I think I gave him like a 40 or 50% tip because it wasn't that much money to me. And his whole demeanor changed, and he went into like a whole like 3 paragraph explanation of like, where exactly the gas station was. He looked pretty happy, dude. I was like, damn. I was like, you guys, people must not tip for shit or something. So yeah, I always make it a point to tip very well when I go to these places because $1 equals like 20 pesos. So it definitely goes a long way.
Yeah, definitely. Like I remember when I was walking from the tourist, like, not island, I forgot what it's called, but where all the hotels are and whatnot. I walked from that little area all the way back to the downtown Cancun area, and I saw this woman and her daughter, and they were like juggling in front of the cars were stopped at the stoplight, and this woman was like juggling balls, and it was just like sad to see like her and her daughter there. So I did give her like pesos or what I had to give. She was really fortunate. Um, so it's a really different life there. But if you have enough money, um, don't maybe go out of your way to do something nice, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, Now, before we get more, I think some people did have some questions in here, and I would like to. Well, Juanchelo and I can answer these questions. Um, no disrespect, but does anyone know what's going on with Trace and Whack? People are saying it might start. I don't know who Trace and Whack is.
Yeah.
Godzilla. Um, Marcus and Wanchaloa should react and watch YouTube. Spring Bulls. I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is, but
I don't know what that is.
It doesn't sound like a good idea. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah, I don't know what that is. I should have read all of that before.
Yeah, Gabby's saying pretty ignorant about gang stuff. Yeah, same here. I mean, I don't think we even really have gangs in fucking Alabama. I mean, we got Ku Klux Klan, right? But we don't have gangs.
Yeah.
You consider them a gang.
Where I'm at, we don't really have gang issues either.
Yeah.
So someone lives in LA, California. That's cool. I was in LA a couple of years ago. Really a big place. Just had a lot of fun there. It's a big city. It's a growing city. What else? Anyone else have any questions so far? Oh yeah, by the way, since this is our final live, we are happy to take questions from anyone who wants to know anything. We'll answer
literally.
to the best of our ability.
Right. I was gonna throw out there because I've been meaning to. I think last video. So a lot of northern Mexicans, such as myself, descend from Sephardic Jewish ancestors, and so I reached out to a company called Parental Genealogy. They by Nefi Arsenas, and he specializes in this. So it's much harder to find out if those ancestors are Jewish. There's a lot more that goes into it than just simply checking the records and tracing them. So I hired him to see if I have any. He said that I look like a viable candidate, like I do. So the thing is, if I do have it documented well, I could get Portuguese citizenship. So I'm going to go for it. I think it's a cool option to take. And having European Union citizenship and maybe passing that on to my children would be very good because that opens up the world to them. So just something neat I thought I'd mention. So I will get a report from him in April. So I'll update you guys with what happens there. So fingers crossed, I'm hoping I can do it because it'd just be really neat to get that citizenship.
Yeah, definitely. Which brings another good point. And I don't know if Claude's watching, but on the Indigenous podcast Instagram, I made like a little story where people can ask like questions, type in their questions and whatnot. And Claude asked, what are some ways I can trace which tribe I descend from? I didn't answer him yet because I was getting ready for everything. So maybe, did you want to maybe answer that, Ponchaloa?
So the best thing would be, well, Claude isn't Mexican. So here's the thing with genealogy. A lot of the records that are indexed are primarily for Mexico. That's what I've seen from my experience. Like there are some indexed for other countries, but they're very, very sparse. So the chances of you tracing, if you're from another country, are, I would say they're significantly slimmer. But you could try on Family Search, and you could try on Ancestry DNA. Either way, I would buy a subscription for Ancestry DNA, and I would go to Family Search, use both. But you would just trace those records, baptismal records, marriage records, death records with your ancestors, because they'll state who the parents are, their grandparents sometimes. You can keep tracing that back, and you can research the area up to a certain degree. So like a couple hundred years ago, like let's say 1600s, if you have indigenous ancestors, it might just say Indio, but you're going to have to do some historical research on the area, and that would probably tell you, hey, that's the tribe you descend from. Or some records will actually flat out state the tribe, but those are much more rare. I've run into plenty of those, and but they are much more rare.
Excellent response. Thank you, Wanchalo, for answering that. Maybe we could ask a few more questions from the Instagram crowd, or I could bring up a couple ones.
For sure. Gabby had one quick question about the Jewish stuff. So you can get Portuguese citizenship by way of your Jewish ancestry. How much do you have or qualify for that? I think I'm 1% Ashkenazi. Okay, so Ashkenazi is, if I'm not mistaken, they're more like in the Germanic region. It's that population. They're more genetically distinguished. But Sephardic Jews are basically people that were in Iberia that were expelled from Spain or Portugal for being Jewish, and they came to the New World and they practiced that stuff in secret. So a lot of that DNA can just pop up as regular Spanish or Portuguese DNA. It doesn't have like any special like markers, right? But those ancestors, there's like certain last names or certain practices or traditions that would let you know that those ancestors were Sephardic Jews. So, but you don't have to have a specific amount. It's just that as long as you're a descendant. I mean, it could be as far back as, I don't know, the 1500s, and you'd be good to go.
Yeah. Again, Juancholo, thanks for answering that for Gabby. What up, OG? Let's drop the link. Let's have a chat.
Oh, bro, not
man, I know that when we get talking, it's probably going to be a long talk. And I know you just had like a long stream. Congrats. You got like almost 11 hours. Very interesting stream, I will say. Let's put that lightly. OG, we actually wouldn't mind having him on, but we kind of like got things to do tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll debate about it. We'll ponder it.
In the future, man.
Yeah. Or if I'm feeling it tonight. Who knows? I got this whole coffee right here, man.
We can have a civilized convo in the future, OG. I mean, dude, I thought we did because we reached out on Discord and you were pretty civil, and then you like literally came after us like for no reason, dude. So that's kind of on you, but yes, in the future we can. Not tonight.
Definitely. Yeah. We have our kids to take care of. Just kidding. We don't have kids.
Yeah, no.
So, more questions that I wanted to address from the gram. Someone asked, can we discuss how we could convert to our indigenous spiritual religions? And, I kind of just said that we would probably make a video about that in the future with someone, who would be more familiar with that.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, someone asked if we could have more guests on. And, of course, definitely down to have more guests.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys have suggestions, just shoot them our way. Shoot them to Marcus. He's more of the HR guy. He sets that up.
I try my best to be an HR guy, if I can. But I appreciate that, Wanchalo. So, other questions here is Karina asked or said that we should give an update on our reconnecting journey. Well, I think for you, Wanchalo, you have obviously made very big strides compared to me. But we all reconnect in a certain way. It's not just one way.
Right. I mean, dude, at the end of the day, you have limitations because you were adopted. So I hope in the future you can overcome that limitation. Maybe a private investigator can help you from Peru. I don't know, man. Like it's just a very hard struggle if you're adopted. I can't even imagine it. Right. I can relate to extent because I've talked to you about my maternal grandfather, how he's not on my birth certificate and all that mess. So there is that, but it's nowhere near the amount of stuff you have to deal with on your end. But an update, I mean, I'm just working with some Guachil descendants here in the U.S., trying to get more organized, trying to actually do stuff here in the U.S. and meet up eventually. So that's really what's been going on with that. And I've just been reading more information. I mean, I'm trying to learn as much as possible. Also, something that's, I guess, not talked enough about is like some people, I've seen the attitude where it's like, I don't want to learn Spanish because it's a colonial language or all this mess. I strongly disagree with that. If you want to reconnect with people down south, you're going to need to speak Spanish. I mean, there's no other way around it. You're going to have to speak Spanish because it's the lingua franca. Everybody speaks Spanish. So I bought like a Spanish grammar book, and I'm just going to try to better it. I mean, I hope one day I can get my Spanish up to par with my English because I'm a published author, an English award-winning author. I don't know if I could ever get my Spanish to that level, but I'd like to bridge that gap and bring it up, because Spanish is my first language, but English might as well be my first language in comparison. So highly recommend that you guys definitely brush up on your Spanish and be very proficient. You're going to need it.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you, Juan Chaloa. I think, and as far as like my reconnecting journey, I do our best to wake more people up, connecting through others to bring on Lakota guy, other guests, other Indigenous guests, especially those from communities. I'm working on that as well. Obviously, I think most people know my story as I am adopted, and I won't talk much about bio family right now. But yeah, as they are MIA. I'll just say that. But let's go back to questions. I think someone had. Oh, Gabby had something. In the closet.
I don't know. I'm kind of iffy on that. I don't remember completely.
Yeah, I'm also kind of uncertain about that.
Yeah. You just have to elaborate on that one. And then let's see, Dr. Andy, do you think there are Black people that have Indigenous ancestry? Yeah, certainly.
Of course.
I mean, even in Mexico, there's a Black population, and a lot of them have Indigenous ancestry. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's like a lot of people in Haiti that likely have maybe not actually, but like 1%, 2% Indigenous ancestry. And obviously, what's the other country? I mean, it's Dominican Republic, probably people in Jamaica too, but again, it's probably very sparse. And not a lot, I would say. To be honest, my knowledge on the Caribbean islands isn't.
Oh God! You mentioned the Caribbean islands, and we actually said some of the stuff we thought about that would only get people mad.
Wait, what did we say? Oh yeah.
Yeah, you do. You already know, bro.
Yeah. I mean, well, it's again another topic for another time.
Yeah, we're not ready for that one.
Yeah. Back to the Instagram. We haven't even started on the chapter yet. This is funny. So, let's see here. Someone said something here that I wanted to read. What are some good book recommendations?
Mexico Profundo by Guillermo Batalla. Sorry, I'm fucking up his name. Before Mestizaje by Ben Vincent III is good. Fifth Son by Camilla Townsend is good. What else I read? Mexico Racista by Federico Navarrete. But see, that one, like I've been reading like the freaking ebook, but I hate reading ebooks. I like to have it in print, and you can't get that one in print unless you like go to Mexico, if anything. I'm trying to think of another one that's good. Indigenous Peoples History of the U.S. by Dunbar Ortiz. 20 Myths about Native Americans by Dunbar Ortiz is pretty good. So I've read those. I can't think of any others right now, but I've read a couple of those.
Yeah. And then I think I had brought up the book Guns, Germs, and Steel, which is basically about like how Western Europe was able to do what they did during the colonial times. And it's really interesting because their environment really played a big part because they're up in like well, if you look at the New World, they're in the northwest area, which is a very like maybe isolated area, you could say, especially like where the UK and Spain were in particular. Weapons really didn't play that big of a part, in my opinion, when it comes to the New World, at least.
No, dude, and we've been over this.
And we've
man.
talked
like,
about
like,
this.
like literally
Yeah.
the whole plate armor dilemma and the rifles. We've talked about how that doesn't make sense.
Those Arbuquesque, I don't remember how the exact pronunciation is, but it takes like what, a few minutes to load one bullet. That's
Yeah.
how like the worthless guns, in my opinion.
Dude. Then, and like I said, the freaking conquistadors weren't riding in here with full plate armor, bro. Like medieval times, like they freaking had a lot of weak points that arrows or fucking slingshots could have killed them with. So, like that whole 60 men can beat thousands. I don't buy that. That's fucking pure fantasy.
No.
Even 60 knights in full plate with lances and fucking battle horses couldn't do that.
I wish they would have made it to India instead. The results would have been much different for them.
They would have gotten wrecked completely.
They would have gotten probably enslaved themselves. But, you know, it didn't happen. And then I think someone else had another question here, and then we'll wrap up with the questions on the gram. If the fall of Tenochtitlan hadn't happened, would there be an extra solar? I don't know if you spelled that right. Civilization right now. My response to him was that even if the fall of Tenochtitlan wouldn't have happened, the Spanish had their headquarters in Cuba at the time. They weren't very advanced headquarters, but their headquarters there, so that they would have had to have been taken out. But even if you were to do that, let's say get rid of Spain altogether, you still would have had, obviously the British, which is a seafaring empire. They had ships. The Dutch weren't much of a threat. Well, actually, I take that back. They did colonize Indonesia. But you did have the French and the British, which still could have, done some significant damage to the indigenous people in terms of warfare if they were to have reached Tenochtitlan instead. So again, it's all future talk. I think a movie like that would be cool. I'd pay money to see it. Like if the tables have turned. Awesome. Yeah. I'm still waiting for that video game one day. Shall we?
There is actually a clip I've been wanting to rip from if you guys have seen the movie The Eternals, and literally one of the scenes has to do with the fall of Tenochtitlan. Like very fucking powerful scene. I recommend you guys watch it. But yeah, we've been thinking about maybe possibly ripping that scene out and making commentary on it. But I completely forgot until just now that we've been talking about this. Let's see. Gabby was saying the topic of indigeneity in our community and within our family is sort of really touchy subject and really ignored and rejected as a whole. Yeah, certainly. And that's something we can get into at another time. But you have people within, I've seen this happen where people try to reconnect or they're trying to do their genealogy and their grandparents won't give them that much information if they figure out, it's because I want to trace the indigenous ancestors. It's because the grandparents just feel ashamed about that, and so they kind of try to stand in your way or sabotage it. And that has not been my experience, but I've heard from other people's experiences that this happens, right? Or they get into arguments with their own family members about mestizaje and identity and all that. So yeah, it can certainly be really touchy within the family. depending on how people have internalized like self-hate for themselves or any of that.
And definitely. I think maybe we could bring someone on that has a lot of like, I mean, you obviously talks a lot about like the self hate and like the issues with like the caste system, racial structure that still exists like within families,
Yeah, I
especially
haven't.
across.
It's never really been a huge issue within my family, but I'm sure there's people that watch this that have had big issues, and they might feel willing to come up on here again. They don't even have to show their face; they could just have a like an emoji or whatever, or like an avatar, and just talk about it like anonymously if they'd like.
Yeah, definitely. We could. I'd always be happy to have them on. Um, did we answer everyone's questions? I think we did so far. I don't know if anyone had anything else. Someone asked, do you ever talk about the corruption of the New World Order and how the tribes are falling for the all government COVID restrictions instead of demanding freedom? I did bring up something of, I think, interest to a lot of people. Again, I want to make sure the accuracy. Oh no, it was accurate. It was anyway. There's an issue in Australia where Aboriginals, a tribe there, was forcefully vaccinated by the government or by the military. I'll find the link of that video and I'll post it soon. I'll try to do it tonight. I just drank this coffee, so I'm not going anywhere for a while. And obviously that's pretty messed up. I have my thoughts on the mandate as well, but again, we can talk about that later. But that's as far as I know in terms of like COVID restrictions and Indigenous people across the world, specifically Australia. And Australia is a very interesting place in general. I hope that answers your question, plain Indigenous truth. You think that there's white people with Indigenous? Okay, Dr. Andy, come on, man. Like, I know he knows the answer to that question. You see?
Yeah, of course there is. You literally you can have an ancestor that's completely different race from you. Like that stuff gets diluted over generations. Like if depending on how your ancestors mixed, right? So, like I said, a lot of Mexicans, for example, have like 5% African DNA, just because there was a lot of slaves that were brought to the New World, right? But they got mixed out, a lot of those. So, because I found plenty of African ancestors in my genealogy, right? But I'm far from a black man. It's just been diluted out. Same thing can happen to white people with indigenous ancestry.
Yep. Yeah,
And I would say it gets to a point where you're racially not native, even if you have indigenous ancestors. So
you can be culturally.
Yeah, I would say ethnically you can, like if you're part of a tribe or something, right?
Yeah.
But racially is another matter. I always make the distinction between racially and ethnically when it comes to that.
Out of coffee. Yeah, same here. Now, someone else have a comment in here. New York City is made by law. Yeah, I saw that too. New York City made it get vaccinated or you can't work in New York City at all. Dare I discuss my thoughts and opinions?
I'm just going to mention I got the booster like a couple days ago. Yeah.
I didn't get it.
Are you going to get it?
No comment.
I guess if your job's not forcing you. I don't know if they're going to go that far to force people to take the booster or not, but I just went ahead and got it. I already know the Army eventually will probably bitch and force us to. They've already forced all the soldiers to get vaccinated, or they're kicking them out.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
I met someone who was doing something with the military, and because of what's going on, he is not working with them right now because of the whole vaccination issue. But what else did I see here? Do you think they're Euro, Afro, Caribbean, wait, Creole, Arabian?
Oh
Big
my
Ant, come
god.
on, man.
Big
Come
Ant,
on.
dude, you're in our Discord, bro. Stop trolling, man. You literally know what we think.
Arabian. The only Arab I actually know isn't the president of El Salvador Lebanese? Or he's Lebanese, El Salvadorian. Anyway, um,
Dr. Andy's like, do you guys hate white people? Dr. Andy, what kind of question is this, man? Like, are you new to this channel or something?
I think, Dr. Andy, are you a troll?
Yeah, are you a troll, bro?
Because if you are, and you're not here to contribute to intellectual discussion, then I don't know what to say.
Yeah, Big Ant's a big fat mestizo, by the way. That's an old joke.
Yeah, he's just trolling. Big Ant's cool.
Yeah, he's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So, Red Dog's in the house. What's up? I'm actually, I'm like pleasantly surprised at like 20 people.
Yeah, I'm surprised
coming
that
up in here.
we have this many people, actually.
Yeah, I am too. So, did Toshio say what's up with all the wabos? Yeah. Rating in the comments. Who are we talking about wabos in here? Are we talking about Dr. Andy? Dr. Andy, are you a wabo? We will put the link in this chat.
No.
And we will argue with you. I drank a whole coffee. I'm gonna be out for a while.
Yeah, you seem pretty lively now.
I
Your
am. Well,
caffeine.
it was either gonna be that or I have some other drinks, but I think I'm okay with the coffee. Do you guys know if Indigenous people have Spanish? I think Godzilla had asked this question. I didn't address it yet.
Oh, yeah. So, like a lot of Indigenous people that do have Spanish surnames, it's just because they converted. And then there's other people, obviously, that because they married with Europeans or somebody else that had a Spanish surname. So, either one. But I've seen many ancestors in my own genealogy that were full-blood Indigenous, and they all have Spanish names. I haven't actually found an ancestor with an Indigenous name because, again, most of the time when they got indoctrinated to the church, they shed those names and got Spanish names.
So that's the thing, and I think that's something. And I brought it up. Have we brought this up once? We have. Earlier videos, or at least needs to be stated that like a lot of people that you see with Spanish names that look completely native are probably mostly completely native for a reason, and like people think that because we have Spanish last names that we're like of like half Spanish descent or something of that nature, right? Where we can't be like Indigenous people. I mean, if you look at the Philippines, so many of them have Spanish last names, but so many of them don't have any Spanish DNA because the Spaniards there made everyone, the government system, colonial system, basically forced most of the people to have Spanish last names for census reasons and just for colonial reasons. Give them Spanish name, European last names. So it's once you realize that, then it makes sense as to why so many people have Spanish last names. I probably would have had a Spanish last name.
Yeah, instead you have an English name, dude. So therefore you're an Englishman.
Irishman.
Okay, Irishman. Marcus, you're a white Irishman, bro, because you got an English last name.
Supposedly, according to someone, I'm an Anglo. But we won't talk about that.
Yeah.
I think someone said something in here about my voice. Oh, thanks. Someone said I sound like an asthmatist.
I don't know what that is.
It's someone that like creates audio visual material. So, it's funny. Well, thank you, Twitchell. I'll take that as a compliment, of course. For most of my life, I really didn't like my voice. I would always like when I'd hear it on recordings, I'd like, oh God. So it's very refreshing to hear that people do.
No,
like
you have a pleasant voice, bro.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that a lot. So Yeah, going back, that's the reason why so many, the Philippines in particular, it's a very special place compared to the rest of South and Central America, obviously. Now, are there people there with Spanish like DNA? Of course, there are, but obviously the majority of them don't have it, that Spanish DNA. I'm fairly certain. And if like it, most of them have like what 1 or 2%. People think that there's like millions of Spaniards. There wasn't. Like, if we're talking about like 1500s to the 1700s and boats, wooden boats getting from South, in Central America all the way to the Philippines. That's so long. But again, I've talked about this before. Let's move on.
I'm gonna ask this question. No shade when I ask this poll, okay? But this is just a repoll from my last live, and I want to see what happens. So,
Uh-oh.
no offense to it.
What are you doing?
Wait, can you see it? Can you see it yet?
I cannot see it yet. Maybe I'll be
It's popped up now on the YouTube.
Again?
I just want to see if their opinion got updated, dude. So we'll see.
Is he in here?
No, he's not even here. But I want to see if their opinion has changed. Okay, so it's up to the podcaster to make people's opinions change about them. So right, so I'm just repolling. Well, that's 5 votes in, and there's one answer. So, I'll leave it up for a minute.
Sounds good. Let's see. Someone else said a lot of our Spanish last names were given out of survival.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these people had to actually, they had to convert, or they would be tortured or killed. I mean, there's accounts on that, and you can read plenty of history books, academic books that'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Like Mexico Profundo, and again, Fifth Son by Camilla Townsend. Those two will talk about that. Mm-hmm. I'm actually almost done with Mexico Profundo. I'm about 50 pages away from being done. It's really, really good book. I highly encourage you guys to read it. So, like, the whole thing when people talk about detribalized natives, well, basically, a really distinguished Mexican anthropologist actually introduced this concept decades ago, back in the 1980s, but he didn't call it detribalized. He called it de-Indianized. He says Mexico is a de-Indianized nation, and he goes into that. So it's essentially the same thing. It's just that nowadays, we're saying detribalized. I mean, it's more of a PC way to say instead of de-Indianized, but it's the same thing. So I would give it a read. It's very, very good.
Definitely. I also wanted to add that, like, the Spaniards, and this is what one of my friends told me too, is that, like, if they saw you speaking indigenous language, you were going to be in, like, trouble, during the colonial time. They wouldn't allow it in some places.
Maybe it just depends on the place. I mean, I know they definitely use Nahua, and that was pretty widespread. The Tlaxcaltecas were using it. So, yeah. I don't know. Kind of, I mean, it makes sense in some ways, maybe in some places that were very strict, but I don't think that was widespread so much. I don't know.
Yeah, I should rephrase that. Yeah, in some areas. My friend from El Salvador had told me that.
Okay, yeah. Area. I mean, see, I don't even know. Like, see, that's the thing. The fact that I'm Mexican always makes me default to only thinking about Mexico and and ignoring, like, basically all the other countries every time I think about this stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people are like that. Someone said people would also change their names in order to get jobs back in the day. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. I know, like, I think I read a book in Peru how these indigenous people from the communities in the Andes, when they come down to Lima, they would change their last names to Spanish for job reasons. It's quite sad. But yeah, that was the way of life. I think people still probably do that too, in some ways or another. Someone said that isn't far off. Yeah, that's true. I mean, well, if we're talking about, like, Spanish.
Well, in the modern, I mean, if we're talking about the modern day, like somebody with an indigenous name or that's indigenous, yes, they're gonna struggle more in modern society in Mexico to, like, get a job. Like, there's literally statistics. We have a good article about this that we were going to cover at some other point, but where it's basically saying the darker you are, the less educated you tend to be, or if you're indigenous, the less educated you tend to be, or have less opportunities because of discrimination in Mexico, and it's backed up by a lot of statistics. And in the book Mexico Racista by Federico Navarrete, he goes into those stats as well. So that's something we'll cover in the future.
Yeah, definitely we will. Well, we have a lot of things planned for the future.
Yeah,
for
like
this
literally,
channel.
we'll never run out of material, I don't think.
I really can't. I'm always like coming up with ideas to do, for us crazy stuff. And you too, Wanchula, of course.
It's all Marcus, dude. I'm just here for the ride.
You're just here for the ride, man. You're enjoying the ride. No, we both done good work, man. So Dr. Andy is apparently new to the channel. Interesting. And then Elena said, I mean, in classism, racism, colorism, all very prominent issues. Yeah, definitely. I agree with that. So, for the future, moving forward, the reflections. We do plan on having more guests on the channel.
Yeah.
I know I brought up the, why can't I think of it right now? The Apple, putting us on Spotify. That's still in the works. I think I need to remind folks that, Juanchelo and I do have jobs.
And then we get lazy. I mean, I get home and I'm beat up from work and I'm just like, I just want to go watch some anime or something.
Anime. Yeah. Well, I mean, we do have jobs. We've got other stuff going on in our lives. I'm in the process of a couple things right now. But a lot of our supporters are very understanding of that.
Yeah.
We have someone in here named Kayla. Hi, I'm a new watcher from the Philippines. Hello.
Oh, sweet. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
The video we had planned for to get.
Yeah. The video we have planned, the article that we're about to read. Bringing more people on. Again, I propose this to you, Juanchelo, is us creating maybe another channel or two in the future, or just adding on. Again, I have a travel video. I'm sure people are aware. I try my best to go to places around the world when I can. So I would like to show our friends here on this too.
Sure.
And then possibly gaming. I don't want to give too much because I don't want to give.
Well, so you're like proposing maybe like a different channel where it's not focusing on indigenous stuff, but it's just a bunch of random shit. I mean, we can always do that in this.
Yeah, that's right. We got to make sure it connects to indigenous.
Well, no, like I'm saying, we could just make another channel where we do a bunch of random shit like that. I mean, it just depends. But we can always talk that over.
That's true. Yeah, we'll talk it over. So, going back, I think that's interesting. What do you guys have in store? So essentially, what we are going to talk about tonight is an article about the earlier phases of the colonization of the Philippines and how there's really not much discussion on the colonial soldiers, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Kayla, but I think the thoughts of who the colonial soldiers were just Spaniards, right?
But like white guys.
Southern Europeans. But that is actually not the case. Majority of these soldiers were actually mixed indigenous native people, full-blooded native people, and a lot of them were. The article said mulattoes, so African people as well. And they were going like on from the boatload year by year. I think we had talked about like how in the 1600s that was a majority of them, and there was just like very few actual Spaniards.
And the last 10 pages that we had, it said that the average age for a lot of these soldiers was like 12, so they were like children, essentially. That's what I thought was the most shocking.
Yeah, that was crazy. But again, like the average age during that time was probably like 40.
Yeah, dude, you'd be ancient as fuck, dude, if we went back in time.
Don't tell people my age, man.
I'm not. I'm just saying that they'll think.
Yeah. No, I'm 30. So, yeah. Anyone else have any? I thought someone asked a question on here.
No, I don't think so. We might be able to just get into the 10 pages, bro.
Get into the 10 pages.
Yeah.
All right.
Unless it's too late for that.
Yeah. Well, let's see here.
I don't mind. I
Comment.
don't have anything to do, so that's what I'm saying.
I don't know, like I told you, man. I'm gonna be up for a while.
Oh yeah, well, we can go over the 10 pages, no problem.
All right. Let's just answer a couple more comments.
All right.
Spanish colonizers commonly used brown people to further militarize their colonies. They even used rivaling Filipino ethnic groups here back. Yeah. Well, if you mean by used, as in, yeah, they managed to take advantage of that. Yeah, they definitely did. Majority of their army in the country were like other Filipinos, apparently, or a lot of them were, when they would like go and invade like other parts of the country or the territory, I guess. A lot of their soldiers would be mostly other Filipinos, which makes me kind of curious on what the revolution must have been when the Philippines beat Spain in war. Like, how many Filipino soldiers were fighting for Spain at that time? So, again, a question to be addressed in the future. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, Terrell, I think you said hey to me earlier. Hey, how's it going, man?
Skinny Killer says, "What is the end goal for this channel?" I would say the end goal is just really just trying to get a lot of people to reconnect to an indigenous identity instead of subscribing to mestizaje, and instead of trying to center like a Eurocentric identity. So that's really the whole aim for this channel. It's kind of like open ended. Like we'd like a lot of people to try to like identify with that, but we can't really quantify. I guess we went by like census numbers or something. Maybe that would be a sign, but
yeah. So the end goal of this channel, and we take very clear and concise steps for this, is to like wake more people up. Wake people up. To get more people's attention as far as like who we are as indigenous people. Felt like I've been told a lie most of my life. I don't see myself as a Hispanic, Latino. If people see that as they are, so be it. That's fine. That's okay with me. It's a free country. You can choose who you want to be. But for those of us that want to see themselves as indigenous, as native people to this continent, then we are developing that space for them through this channel. I no longer see myself through the eyes of the so-called, Latino or Hispanic anymore. And our end goal is to at least get the political attention that I think that this group of people deserve. And we will get there within time. But right now, we are in the phase.
I would say, like, it'd be easier for us to influence people that are already here in the U.S. that have indigenous ancestry to have that identity shift rather than people that are already south of the border. Although if that could happen, that'd be great, but it'd be harder to do that. But if that was able to happen, because I've heard that it's already happening south of the border anyways, I think you'll see a decrease in racism and you'll see a decrease in discrimination against indigenous people and maybe the betterment of society when they're not forcing everybody to be westernized, right? When they're not trying to basically strip everybody's identity and force them to assimilate. I think when that happens, society will improve south of the border too.
And the best thing that I saw about this is that us, an indigenous podcast channel, like all of us that are like, reconnecting and whatnot, we contribute to indigenous community like issues that are going on, like Lakota Guy had put up, and like there's just so much money going to these problems. So I think it's a really good thing to see.
Oh yeah, because we've put up.
It's beautiful to see.
Yeah, we've put out like numerous issues where we've asked people to donate, and we'll continue to do that. If we can help in any way with funds, and that'll be good. We shared Lakota Guy's Christmas drive, and I donated to it.
Yeah.
So this is also a good space to just put that type of material out there, right? To help.
Yeah, definitely. It is. And I think that's the best thing, even more so than our goals, is knowing that we are contributing to an important cause for indigenous communities out there. Us as, reconnecting, natives that aren't associated, well, you, Anchelo, you are, but myself, not so much, with the tribe. We're doing a good thing in the world. So for someone to like, people can say what they want, but we're sticking with our plan, with our goals for this channel. If y'all want to argue, go argue. But we're not going to do it tonight because it's Christmas Eve and we want everybody to be happy.
Yeah.
Except maybe, except who? Who's being a major troll in here? I'll find you.
Joe Curry said, "What tribes are you both?" I'm Guachichil from San Luis Potosi, and Marcus still has to find out. He's adopted, so it's a little harder for him to trace that.
Yeah, I'll just be open with y'all in here. It's like 12:57. I was adopted. I don't know my bio family. I was abandoned, left. Can say how it is. And I was found somewhere, and I don't know anything about my biological family, and that is all I will say about that. But clearly, I am indigenous to this continent, to these two continents, to Turtle Island, so to speak. So yeah. Anyone else have anything? What's your thought on Christmas? I mean, I like Christmas.
Yeah, I like the
cool.
festivities. I like the presents.
Yeah. Awareness is the key.
Someone's going to call us fake just because we said that, dude. Someone's going to be like, you guys, they're going to be like, you're not indigenous enough. You're fake as fuck because you like Christmas, so you guys are a bunch of LARPs.
Go ahead and call us fake. Dude. Come on, let's hear it. Who's going to call us fake?
Dude, I can already see it. Dude, one thing I was going to tell, I guess the subscribers here is, we've been doing this almost a year, and I don't know, we've learned quite a bit after a whole year, and I've developed quite a bit of thick skin at this stage because, holy shit, you get nothing but a bunch of attacks all the time.
Especially when they show our faces, man.
Yeah.
A lot of these folks don't show their faces at all.
No, and it used to get under my skin. I used to get, upset, but at this point, I've gotten to the point where it's just, I don't really, care so much. And because at the end of the day, I choose to do this channel, but, if I wanted to tomorrow, I could just not do this channel. And so it's why care about what some detractors have to say? I don't give a fuck at this point.
They got nothing better to do. They're living in their mom's basement.
Yeah. It's this is cool. This is important. But at the end of the day, this is not real life here. It's a channel about cool shit that we're talking about. But, you can hate, but, literally you're wasting your own time.
But we do have goals.
Yeah, we do have goals. Yes.
Yeah. But, yeah, we are doing this out of the kindness of our hearts to bring people on and bring us all together of Turtle Island. And wait, is there more comments on here? I saw something. I forgot that this is a Christmas stream too. Magali Young Pasco Sayang. Merry Christmas. Oh, Merry Christmas to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I saw people on the Instagram being like, Christmas is a colonial holiday, don't celebrate it. Look, if you're trying to tell me that, you're talking to the wrong guy. I am not the type of person that's gonna.
Yeah, I'm just not as fiery as that, man. Props to you, but it's just I'm just not as fiery as that. I'm gonna be somewhat reasonable here.
Someone say Alex Jones. Come over here. You're fake. Oh my God, his voice. I try to imitate it sometimes. I mimic it, but it's hard. One day I'll go over my voice impersonations. Let's see. Anyone else have any questions before we start the article? It is one. Wow, we answered a lot of questions and talked.
Yeah, for an hour, bro.
Yeah, right. So yeah, we got 22 people in here. That's cool for a 1 o'clock live.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I would have imagined it to be 3 people here.
Yeah, well, I won't say, but yeah. I was I'm pleasantly surprised though.
Yeah.
Job. I'm not gonna talk about my profession just for the sake of my security.
Yeah, because then people try to weaponize that shit, dude. And they'll try to track down your employer and fucking message them or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't need people tracing me.
Yeah, I don't need that either.
What if we could be related? I'm from Coahuila.
Send me Rosa, send me a message on like Facebook if you know my Facebook or like Instagram or anything. I'm also on Ancestry DNA as Juan Zapata Saucedo. So I mean, like, we could show up as cousins. Yeah, it's very possible. Have plenty of cousins from Coahuila that I found, and I have a very extensive family tree. So if you fill out yours, we might have some in common, and we'll pop up that way too.
Definitely. Native foods I'm most familiar with are tamales and Three Sisters soup. Never heard of Three Sisters soup, but yeah, definitely tamales are indigenous.
See,
you guys should talk about taco.
I've heard conflicting information about that, so we would need to research that shit right there.
Oh, wait, tamales being indigenous?
The tacos and like other foods. Like, well, if he's talking about tacos specifically, I've heard conflicting stuff like from both sides that it is and then that it's not and blah blah. So we'd have to actually look into it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down to look into it too. That's cool. It's interesting because a tamale, like a lot of tamales, you have beef now, and for those of you that don't know, beef cows were not on the continent before 1492. So beef is somewhat new to indigenous folk. I mean, if you say 500 years, but it wasn't the common original ingredient of a tamale back then, so to speak. Someone said happy birthday. Happy birthday. Destiny said Three Sisters soup creates a full protein. Eat really well. Okay, cool. I'll check that out. Do you guys have a business email? Yeah, Jose. So we have our channel email, and I run that too. I try to be as responsive as I can. Like, look what happened to our Twitter account. Like, I barely update that thing, man. Like, I just wanted to put it on there just to say we had it. Like, we just pay someone to run our Twitter account, to be honest. Like, I got other things going on. Big Ant likes cows. I go past cows in fields because I live out in the middle of nowhere. Why'd I say that?
Now they're going to hunt you down, dude. You just give them a clue.
All my adoring fans. Let's see here. My grandma, chili's ready from tamales. Yeah, I love tamales, and I just discovered them like a few years ago. It's really bad because I never really tried them before. So I'm very fortunate. Oh, the tamales that I had in Cancun are pretty good, I will say. Just because you borrow an ingredient doesn't stop being native. Yeah, of course. No, I agree. Like, I was just saying that the beef was not the original part of the tamale. Yeah, I'm sure there's a pug in here somewhere.
Flying pug guy. He's pretty strong supporter of the channel.
Someone get that flying pug. But yeah, did anyone else have any other questions before we start? We'll give you all like a minute or two, and we're gonna begin. Juanchalo, did you have the article, or would you like me to bring it up?
Oh no, I have it now. I can just share it then.
Sounds good. Ancestry DNA. You can find your closest relative. I did, but this is probably like TMI. But I did find a relative, like second cousin, but he didn't know anything about like any information I brought up to the second cousin, as far as like if you knew anything about like, my biological parents. So
you should have him. You should have him tell you. I give you access to his tree and see all who his ancestors are, because you guys have to share. I would say if he's a second cousin, then you probably share great grandparents or second great grandparents.
Yeah,
depends, but you're going to share somebody along like very recently. A second cousin is reasonably close, so I would try to see if you can talk to them. But sometimes people are unresponsive, man. I've like seen that like before on Ancestry. Sometimes I've had to hunt them down on Facebook to message them about shit.
The person finally responded to me. I was like, finally, I got some sort of information. Wasn't what I wanted, but the person responded. Yeah. So I was very happy to hear about that. But Godzilla, I do appreciate your comment. But that's where I am right now in terms of that. There's a lot of adoption from Peru, South America. Actually, like in my hometown, there's at least 7 other South American adoptees that I know. One's Peruvian, 3 are Colombian, and then another one is from, I think, Ecuador. And then there was one from, I think there's another from Colombia. But anyway, digress. So, Juanchaloa, did you want to read first?
Yeah, I will. I'm pretty sure we finished this paragraph on page 10, because it would have been weird not to last
We did.
episode. Yeah, okay, all right. So then I'll continue now. The social origins of for you guys that forgot, we are reading this here: Convicts or Conquistadors, Spanish soldiers in the 17th century Pacific. Okay, so I'm going to go all the way back down to page 10. And if you haven't seen the last 10 pages, then go to the other video. The social origins of Spanish soldiers serving in the Pacific. In 1617, Diego Lopez de Miranda crossed the Pacific from New Spain to fight in the wars against the Dutch. An honored soldier with an illustrious career spanning more than 15 years in 3 continents, he had served as a military officer in Hispaniola, as captain of a ship in the Armada off the coast of Africa, as an alferez in New Spain responsible for recruiting soldiers for the Philippines, and as captain of infantry in Puerto de Navidad, before finally enlisting to serve on the other side of the Pacific. Once in the Philippines, he was quickly promoted, and in 1620 he served as corporal of an aid ship sent to Moluccas. Unfortunately, his ship was seized by Dutch corsairs, and he was taken prisoner and held captive for 3.5 years before finally escaping on board a tiny boat. As he sailed across the Celebes Sea toward the Philippines, his ship was attacked by Moro raiders, and his arm was broken during the ensuing skirmish. He was left floating at sea for the next 8 days, undeterred by his travails. When he finally returned to Manila, Lopez de Miranda signed up for the next armada to set sail in pursuit of the Dutch. In recognition of his loyalty and services to the crown, he became captain of artillery in Panama in 1632. Lopez de Miranda's service records paints a colorful, swashbuckling picture of the mobility and adventure experienced by the military officers who traversed the Spanish Empire in the 17th century. His time spent in the Philippines formed just one part of a much longer career that crisscrossed 4 continents. The service records of other officers serving in the Philippines also suggest that elements of Lopez de Miranda's story were relatively common. The careers of military officers in the Philippines link almost every corner of the empire and beyond. Particularly in the first half of the century, many had fought in European theaters of war such as Flanders and Italy, while others had participated in military incursions into Africa or sailed on board the famed silver fleets of New Spain. Of all the military men serving in the Philippines, these officers were the most likely to adhere to the image of the conquistador portrayed in historiography, since as career soldiers they benefited through the attainment of future positions of title and prestige, if not monetary advantage. Nevertheless, we need to pause and question how accurately this story reflects the common experience of ordinary soldiers serving in the Philippines. Although numerical data across the century is patchy, the data that does exist suggests that Spanish soldiers numbered between 1,500 and 2,000 across all Philippine presidios during the course of the century. What is also clear from the official records is that this was never considered enough. I mean, it's not that many soldiers, to be honest. An audit of military needs of the Philippines in 1633 indicated that the archipelago... how the fuck do you pronounce this again, dude? I know we were butchering it last time.
Archipelago.
Needed to maintain a military presence equaling at least 2,200 soldiers in order to be able to maintain its defenses. The major barrier to meeting those needs was simply a lack of sufficient soldiers sent to the archipelago on board the galleons from New Spain. Although dispersed and fragmentary, the yearly accounts of the socorro sent to the Philippines during the 17th century indicate that the number of soldiers sent from Acapulco to Manila averaged just 156 per year. By contrast, governors of the Philippines regularly requested that the viceroy send up to 300 soldiers annually, while the king, on a number of occasions, commanded the viceroy to organize dispatches in the order of 400 or 500 soldiers. Oh yeah, right here, these records, bro.
Sorry about that.
Oh, something happened.
I was just taking care. Okay, going back. Where were we at here? Read these records?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, These records also suggest that ordinary soldiers outnumbered officers by anywhere up to 9 times. Yet ordinary soldiers are almost inevitably much harder to study than the officer class. For the most part, they did not leave behind the kind of merit and service records that allow us to tell an individual story like the account given above Lopez de Miranda military career. Time out. Did they say that there was like 156 soldiers a year?
They would be sending that much, but they would request like 300 and sometimes 400 or 500. But it was like sparsely like sending soldiers in.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's not really that many soldiers.
Right? Where did they leave off at? A career? I bet.
Yeah.
Okay. Instead, the archives portray ordinary soldiers as a mostly amorphous grouping. Questions regarding the origins and motivations of soldiers serving in the Philippines and their overall loyalty to the Spanish Empire therefore need to be approached in a different way, beginning with the records relating to the military levies for the Philippines. The vast majority of soldiers serving in the Philippines were recruited from levies conducted in New Spain. Banners were raised across the major urban centers of New Spain in the months leading up to the arrival of the galleons from Manila in March or April each year. Levies most commonly took place in Mexico City, Puebla de los Angeles, in Veracruz, but could also be held in more minor cities such as Zacatecas, Antiquera, Oaxaca, Celaya, Cuernavaca, Tlaxcala, and Acapulco. In these locations, captains were appointed to establish a recruiting booth and issue a public decree that the levy was in progress. These levies were intended to attract voluntary recruits. However, finding sufficient volunteers to here is Table 1, soldiers sent abroad, galleons. As you can see, year 1600, number 209, 209, 1600. See, that's not really a whole lot. That's not as much as I would think, you know?
Yeah, no. 255, 254, 141, zero?
Yeah, zero.
What the heck? Yeah, it's not many soldiers, dude.
The empire, the outposts, the last Spanish outpost in the Philippines, was not really well managed, and I think it's very evident. They had like uprisings like every year, you know, and there was like even certain parts of the Philippines they were never even able to conquer or take over, you know, especially the southern part, Mindanao. It took them, I think, another century or something, half a century, much longer than like Manila. Again, but we talked about this last time, how the southern part of the Philippines is mostly Islamic, a lot of it's Islamic. Now, for those wondering why it's Islamic, I'm going to go back further into history, because if people know the Philippines, they think it's like a very Christian country. Well, there are actually some issues going on in the southern part regarding terrorism and Islam. But I think, from the Middle East, and I think parts of India, but especially from the Middle East, Islam was, traders from, like Arab traders came and exchanged goods, through India, and then went through Malaysia, Indonesia, and went up to the Philippines. So when trading went on, I think a lot of religious exchange also went on as well. So a lot of people were introduced to Islam. But yeah, I'm going to continue reading. Again, Wanchola, where did I leave off at again?
Oh, right here.
Thank you so much. The some soldiers. Okay. Or was it deterred? Deterred by the lengthy...
Let me see.
Oh, I remember. I was okay. Finding sufficient volunteers to serve in the Philippines was a consistent and notorious problem throughout the 17th century. Deterred by the lengthy voyage across the Pacific and the limited prospects for returning from what was known to be a volatile, and dangerous frontier, few soldiers ever really enlisted voluntarily. See, no one even wanted to go.
Yeah, it sounds like a shithole, dude.
I mean, again, the Spanish ran things very poorly.
Yeah.
Some soldiers were even known to have paid officials in the port of Acapulco to be exempted from the levy before they embarked on the galleons bound to Manila, while others just deserted while en route to Acapulco. In 1648, the Viceroy Conde de Salvatierra acknowledged the unpopularity of the levy, noting that recruits were always lacking. They collected men from the levies of Mexico City, Puebla, Veracruz, but from the rest of the recruitment sites, there were few or none.
Yeah, it just sounds like a really, it just sounds like a hellhole, man. If you're like from a military standpoint, to have to serve there would just suck.
Yeah. It just, again, management, organization. Did you want to do this one? Or
Yeah, go
okay,
ahead.
cool.
Vice-regal officials responded to the chronic shortage of voluntary recruits in two ways. Firstly, military officers in the Philippines came to rely much more heavily on the recruitment of indigenous Filipino soldiers, a complex subject that I have dealt with in much greater detail elsewhere. Secondly, recruiting officers in New Spain utilized a number of coercive means to find soldiers. A standard clause within the instructions given to recruiting captains charged them with issuing a pardon to all those criminals who, within the first 15 days following the pronouncement of this decree, do present themselves before the said captain or his deputy to enlist themselves. The same captors were then instructed to apprehend by force and impress any criminals who failed to enlist in the stated time frame. Yet, recruiting officers were so desperate to meet their quota often resorted to more informal methods of impressment. In Pueblo de Los Angeles, the city council reported that it was commonplace for respectable citizens to be impressed into the army alongside vagabonds and young boys. Dude, that is fucked up, dude. God. That's the illustrious Spanish for you guys that these Hispanistas worship. Only a hefty bribe to the recruiting officers would secure them their liberty. Finally, when all these other odds failed, vice-regal officials in New Spain would seek out to supplement the number of recruits sent to the Philippines through the criminal justice system. Criminals were taken off the rural highways and urban streets and out of the gaols of New Spain and sent to serve as convicts in the military of the Philippines under what was known as the Forzado system. Roughly a quarter of all the soldiers sent to the Philippines were forzados. However, once we take into account the full range of coercive recruitment methods used in levies, it seems safe to assume that the number of soldiers serving in the Philippines against their will was very high, if not an outright majority. And one comment I'm going to have is, if this is true, I'm sure this happened, right? But you would think they would just fucking kill these officers the moment they got to the Philippines and band together and revolt more. Right?
That's what I'm thinking. The history of the Philippines, I think, is very complex to a lot of people. And I think we forget that, Legazpi, who was the successful Spaniard, there were other missions sent to colonize the Philippines in the past before Legazpi, like Magellan, but they all failed. They all got killed. Most of them got killed there. But Legazpi was successful, and I think he had brought a lot of soldiers with him. But again, I disagree with most of all, if not all, all of the Spaniards in their way of colonizing people and whatnot, and their method of colonization. But I will say that they must have some freaking insane persuasive skills to get these, indigenous people in the Americas and obviously in the Philippines too. But the Spaniards took advantage of getting, of the rivalries between tribes. And I guess the tribes that sided with the Spaniards, they created a very strong bond. And then, the Spanish worked their magic in terms of indoctrinating them to Catholicism, essentially. Or maybe the Filipinos, willingly accepted Catholicism too. But yeah, so I guess they were just really freaking loyal because, again, I also question that too, Juanchelo, as to why the Filipinos didn't just rise up in earlier centuries or years.
Yeah.
They could have, but again, we don't know, or I don't know the difficulty of how people there could unite because, before the Spanish got there, there was no Philippines. There was no country.
Yeah.
They're all like separated like islands and territories. So that could have been one reason. But I think that I should pull up the map. But Legazpi, I think, entered Cebu in the Philippines. And if we look at the map of the Philippines, Cebu is in like, kind of like the middle part of the country. And then he made his way, or the Spaniards made their way up to Manila, and that's where they set up headquarters. And Cebu to Manila is quite a distance away from each other. So you got to imagine, like, they probably picked up a lot of, like, willing soldiers, like, people from other tribes along the way that were not just persuaded by the Spaniards, but persuaded by other Filipinos that were already with the Spaniards at the time, you know? And they even say that there was some beautiful city before Manila, the Spanish city was put in place. I say Spanish city because it was very Hispanic, I guess Hispanic, but the architecture looked very Spanish. But then after World War II, the Japanese bombed Manila to pieces. There goes all the Spanish architecture, and that's why if you look at pictures of Manila today, it looks like a very like urban metropolis city, because the Americans really helped build that city up to look almost like an American city. But I guess before World War II, there was a lot of Spanish architecture there. That's something we could get into later. But again, I think that's why the Spaniards were successful, was because once they managed to get more people on this attraction of falling under Catholicism, the Filipinos managed to get persuade other Filipinos to want to be Christian, Catholic. And again, I think it says in this article, or maybe another article that I read, was the armies that the Spaniards had were mostly made up of other Filipino people in the Philippines, I mean. So I think that's something we could also talk about. Maybe someone from the Philippines that would have that sort of history that we do not possess currently.
Yeah.
Shout out to the 20 people that are watching, listening to our voices right now.
Oh, they're
Thank
still
you all
there?
so much.
I can't see because of the reading. I'm sharing the screen, dude.
You're good. We had to take care of someone who was saying some not so great things, but that person is gone now.
Oh, okay.
So, Juan Chiloa, I believe that we stopped somewhere.
Right here, significantly.
Significantly. Is this where I start up?
Yeah.
Cool. Significantly, this had an impact on the type of soldier who traveled to the Philippines. Since the Philippine levies relied so heavily on involuntary methods of recruitment, the majority of ordinary soldiers were drawn from the plebe of New Spain rather than the ranks of career soldiers. The plebe of New Spain was a multi-ethnic underclass of criminals, idlers, vagabonds, fugitives, and runaway soldiers and sailors who that sucks. You run away and then you still get caught and gotta go sit and work at an outpost somewhere out in the Pacific Ocean. You transgress the social norms of the genteel Spanish society. According to the viceroys, the miscegenated nature of the plebe meant that it absorbed all the worst characteristics of its constituent subgroups. And for this reason, miscegenation was discouraged by the viceroyal authorities. Viceroy Palafox y Mendoza, interesting Spanish name, described the plebe of New Spain as being made up of blacks, mulattoes, mestizos, and Indians, and some fallen Spaniards and habitual delinquents. He went on to argue that there runs risk among such a diversity of colors, nations, and conditions, all of them with little light of reason and no shame. The plebe was a particular fixture of urbanized populations in Mexico City and the Puebla de los Angles, where the congregated in taverns and marketplaces and engaged in unruly and criminal behavior. At the time, an inherent or interior plebeian population plagued the highways of New Spain. There's my question: like, what the heck are the highways?
They would just be probably like just roads that they probably
Put up?
formed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah, those would be highways.
Yeah. Highways of New Spain, engaging in acts of petty theft and highway robbery, which threatened many of the major communication routes in New Spain. Criminals on the highways of New Spain were known to target large land holdings and attack travelers, merchants, and carters journeying between settlements. You wanted to go? Sorry.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, a variety of criminal justice measures were designed to transfer the unruly plebe of New Spain into productive members of society through forced labor schemes. While a number of these schemes existed, recruitment and sentencing to serve in the Philippines was in many ways a particularly final measure for removing unwanted social elements from the Navajo Hispanic society. This is certainly the intention behind the forzado system, if not the majority of the other coercive recruitment methods used during the Philippine levies. Records relating to the forzado system indicate that the majority of forzados were sentenced to serve in the Philippines either for property crimes including highway robbery, rustling, and petty theft, or for the crimes of vagabondage and idleness. Although rare violent crimes such as murder and rape were also recorded, forzados were emblematic of the unruly plebe of New Spain, and they were thrust into the volatile frontier environment of the Philippines largely against their will. Far from being loyal servants to the crown, the same culture of disobedience that led to their expulsion from New Spain accompanied them to the Philippines on board the galleons that crossed the Pacific each year. In addition to the recruitment of criminals, the Philippine levies also targeted another specific plebeian grouping, illegal migrants arriving in New Spain on board the Indies fleets. Lower-class Spaniards frequently circumvented the official restrictions on migration to the New World by enlisting as soldiers and sailors in Spain and then deserting upon arrival in Veracruz. One estimate suggests that this form of illegal migration contributed as many as 50% of the annual migrants to the Indies during the 17th century. Holy shit. When they arrived in the New World, these soldiers and sailors would desert from their ships and attempt to disappear into the colony without a trace, establishing themselves in a trade, reenlisting in the army, or joining the ranks of the itinerant populations that roved the highways of New Spain.
Historians, yeah, that's interesting. So they just freaking laughed once they got there, too. Historians, as Jonathan Israel and Douglas Cope, have argued that the presence of these illegal migrants helped to introduce irreverent, picturesque traditions from the streets of Spain into the melting pot of the New World. Sorry, I was reading a comment and got cut off. Of New World society. Moreover, the presence of lower-class Spaniards was abhorred by the viceroyal authorities as a threat to the established order of Spanish racial superiority. The group of plebeians thus became another obvious target for recruitment for the Philippines. Specific commissions were given to individuals to patrol the highways of New Spain, looking for runaway soldiers and sailors, as well as highwaymen, vagabonds, and other criminals. In December 1648, for instance, Juan Alonso was appointed for the duration of the recruitment for the Philippines to capture thieves, highwaymen, criminals, vagabonds, and deserting soldiers in the province of Chalco. Juan Martin Gallardo was likewise instructed to send the deserting soldiers and sailors whom he encountered to the royal gaol so that they could be enlisted in the 1645 levies for the Philippines in the Armada de Barlavento. Inherent within the philosophy of socially cleansing New Spain of insubordinate plebeians. You under arrest?
No,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Plebeians was an assumption that such men could be transformed into not only productive but also loyal servants of the empire. In 1642, Viceroy Palafox argued that it was convenient to apprehend vagabonds for the Philippines levy every year because those who are restless here in peacetime are noteworthy over the time in war. The assumption that being transferred to one of the remotest parts of the empire would alter the moral character of forced recruits was particularly strong in relation to Spanish and mestizo soldiers.
Soldiers with Spanish lineage were supposed to find a new pride in their race and their empire when confronted by the realities of the East Indies. For this reason, official instructions stipulated that soldiers recruited for the Philippine levies had to be Spaniards and mestizos or sons of those, and not elderly friars, clerics, Indians, blacks, mulattoes, or nor those that have transmittable diseases. Yet, particularly in the latter half of the century, soldiers were more often than not recruited from within the heterogeneous caste of population of New Spain. In 1659, the royal officials in Manila complained that most of the soldiers were being sent from New Spain were black, mulatto, or Indian, with almost no Spaniards among the contingents. They petitioned the king for more white soldiers to be sent from New Spain because of the great shortage of white people in the islands. Concerns about these recruits extended beyond their limited military training. The officials of Manila also worried about their overall loyalty to the imperial project in the Pacific and their capacity to combine with the indigenous population to form a multi-ethnic plebe which mirrored the plebeian underclass of New Spain. The social engineering behind the Philippine levies was at the forefront of the minds of the viceregal authorities in New Spain, yet the royal officials in the Philippines were far more concerned with the capacity of soldiers to perform their core duties of defense and pacification. Far from extolling the virtues of the glorious cohort of conquistadores, numerous governors throughout the 17th century described the men who arrived on board these galleons from New Spain as pernicious and scandalous. The criminal backgrounds and largely unfree nature of soldiers serving in the presidios ultimately meant that royal officials in Manila had a hard time trusting the loyalty or utility of their military forces. Seen in this light, the soldiers who served in the Philippines hardly meet our expected image of the traditional conquistador. Nevertheless, the extent to which soldiers redeem themselves by proving their loyalty to the emperor can only be answered by considering the conditions that soldiers experienced while stationed in the presidios of the Pacific.
Interesting chapter. So pretty much what we can say is that a lot of these people that were sent over were in fact like criminals or just like deadbeats, you know, like not really doing much.
Yeah.
And just like really not great people, you know? And a lot of them weren't even freaking Spanish.
Yeah. They weren't.
Yeah. So, you know, I think my thoughts are that I think some things need to be addressed in terms of the image of who was the conquistador in New Spain or in the Philippines at the time. And it's obvious that these people were in fact, you know, mestizo, mixed native people. And for those that don't know what mulatto means, doesn't it mean like mixed black?
It's just like half
white?
black people. Yeah.
Yeah. Half black and white people. Or I guess in that term, would they be like half Spanish, half like?
Yeah. Half Spanish, like half black.
Yeah. So I think that things need to be addressed. Now, someone could ask us, like, why is that important? Well, it's very important because I think the image of like the Philippines, as far as like who the colonizers were, the soldiers were, is just like, again, like we brought up in the beginning, like Iberian people. But again, that's like not the case. It's clear that there's others there, and it wasn't just like, you know, Spaniard people.
From what I'm seeing, the majority of them weren't even Iberian, to be honest.
Right. Yeah. They weren't. So I hope that we can like clear things up through this article. Did anyone if anyone has anything or they want to like address anything or like correct us, please do. Like I like being corrected. Well, I like being given new information if I'm wrong.
Right. Like, so if somebody has contradictory information and you want to post an article that we need to consult or maybe read in addition of this one with the channel, that's fine. You know, just send us a link and we can do that.
Yeah. Just send us a link. Wonder who's all still in here. Thank you all for we're not done yet, but you know, thanks for everyone listen to our chapter. You know, we're trying to get through this as best as we can. I thought this article was interesting. If I can find the article that talks about like a majority of the Spanish soldiers were actually you know, Filipino people, then I will find that. I did read it. I don't lie. That is true. That the fact that there were. So when I find that article, I will also put it out. I've got that noted. So Yeah. Shout out to Gabby, Tochil. We got Pug in the house. And we got the Hebrew Israelites in the house. We got Big Ant. Kyla, thank you so much for willing to come. If you have like friends that are interested in this stuff, please like introduce them to what we say. Or if you know anyone that wants to contribute to this, we got like 2 chapters left. So please, by all means, any historians, we would love to have in. But yeah, did anyone have any other questions before we like wrap things up?
Yeah, because we just got 2 pages now.
Yeah. Wait, did you say 2 pages or 2 chapters? We
2 pages.
Oh shoot, never mind. I was looking at the new chapter and I like thought like, oh, we're done. I was like, okay.
No, we're only on page 19. We still need to get to the end of page 20.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I will finish this up then. Or wait, I'll do this one. Need the 1 page.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So. Oh wait, read comment. Hi guys, if you guys need a consultation for living, I would recommend Kirby Overlord. So, okay, thank you so much for telling us that. I will check them out. I'll have that noted. In 1660, Governor Sabanyao Maric de Lara succinctly summarized the state of the Spanish infantry stationed in the Philippines. After having received just 41 soldiers on board the galleons from New Spain that year, the governor noted that in the past 20 years of Socorros, the viceroys of New Spain had not contributed a tenth of the number of soldiers who had died in the various wars that they had been fighting. And then the supply that arrived that year had not even a sixth of what they needed. This left the soldiers to labor incessantly for the crown so as to gain great returns and all for love, despite the repeated adversity that have befallen them. The governor went on to add that the soldiers were on the brink of giving up and losing their minds because of the lack of reinforcements and aid sent by the viceroy and because of the threat of enemy assault. Of enemy assault. He likened the situation to that of a cancerous attack running through the flesh and bones of the incorporeal body. Without the reinforcements, the soldiers stationed across the Philippines were forced to resign themselves to the death from a life of fatigue without resources. The situation was worse on the island of Ternate in the Moluccas, where many deaths and bad conditions had led to mutinies and loss of loyalty among a soldiery faced with hopelessness. More than 120 soldiers had died in the Ternate that year, with many others running away and defecting to the Dutch. Damn. So they left Spain. That's funny. Life for those in the service of the empire in the 17th century Philippines was hard. For the Spanish population, Spain's Pacific presidios were defined by the vast and perilous expanse of the Pacific Ocean, which separated the Philippines from the viceroyalty of New Spain. Seaplane. When soldiers arrived in Manila, they were distributed across a network of presidios spanning Spain's Pacific territories.
Oh, soldiers were. I'll just take it from here. Soldiers were primarily intended to defend the archipelago against the external threats and to engage in the conquest of groups that violently resisted colonization. Yet in practice, they also supported the work of missionaries and helped to institute the labor and tribute systems that underpinned Spanish imperial authority over conquered populations. The bulk of these soldiers were stationed in Manila and Cavite, which throughout the century housed between 4 and 7 companies, or between 400 and 900 Spanish soldiers. These soldiers defend the city and the incoming galleon trade against external threats from Dutch raiders or Chinese pirates, or against the threat of rebellion among the Chinese population of Manila, and were also displaced from Manila many times of need. Outside Manila, soldiers were distributed across a network of presidios located in Cebu, Oton, the island of Panay, Cagayan, and northern Luzon, and the Moluccas, Zamboanga, Ligan, and all these Filipino islands I'm not going to pronounce. There's evidence that the Spanish also occupied smaller locations rarely mentioned in their administrative records, for instance, in the Celebes north of Sulawesi. Each of these presidios were located for its defensive and strategic value. The presidios of Cebu and Noton were jointly responsible both for the defense of the Visayas against Moro raiders and for organizing and dispatching the Socorro for the soldiers stationed in the Mulaccos. Additionally, Cebu played the role of internally policing the indigenous peoples of the Visayas, and the alcalde mayor of Cebu was responsible for some considerable dispatches of soldiers who went to put down rebellions on the islands of Bohol and Layet in 1622. This is the picture. Presidios on Mindanao were intended as outposts for controlling slave raiding among the Moros of Mindanao, and as basis from which the territories to expand Spanish control over these same territories. All right, sorry, there's so many fucking tongue twisters in that one section. But that's it for. I mean, we got a page 22 essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, guys. Did we drop the link for this article so people can read it too?
No, we need to do that. Like, put it in the description. I don't think we even did that in the last video.
Oh, well, we tried. We'll do it this time.
Okay. Kalal is laughing at us, trying to. Yeah, dude. Look, man, I'm tired, man, and I'm trying to pronounce that. I just like my tongue had a seizure, bro. I don't know. I couldn't do it.
I can pronounce. What were the ones that they brought up? The Tagalog language is very interesting. The pronunciations of words in the now, like Cebu, other places, but I will stop there because it's late. I'll pronounce words from Tagalog next time.
Yeah.
So, did anyone have any questions before we wrap up here? We'll give about a few minutes, and if we do end up talking, we'll probably talk till, well, again, I'm cool to talk till 2. But if anyone doesn't have anything, we'll wrap up shortly. But yeah, that was pretty much the second chapter, and I think it gets more interesting. It's the third and fourth one. So obviously, a lot of convicts. People didn't even want to freaking go to the Philippines. They didn't even want to be there. It's like, oh god, I got caught. But you have to wonder what I don't know what life must have been like there. This is the 1600s, so a lot of colonial architecture taking place, a lot of methods of transportation, a lot of horses were there. The cities obviously were different. They were Europeanized. So yeah, you have to wonder. And another thing is I really don't think weapons had to do with why the Filipinos couldn't rebel against the Spaniards. I think it really is because, maybe it was a numbers game. I don't know. They it's something I'll have to look up because I don't want to say anything that's completely false.
Yeah.
Kylo said we should rest. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to Gabby, Red Dog, Amanda, Kylo, Como, and a couple of other people showing up, except for the Wabos.
Yeah, screw the Wabos, man.
For those of you that don't know who the Wabos are, I guess I could explain our picture in the thumbnail. Dane Calloway. And I'll talk about him very briefly for a few seconds. Dane Calloway is a very odd human being. I don't really like to talk about people specifically, but he has a large following, so he probably will never know that I exist. He has I don't know, maybe 100,000, 200,000 subscribers. It's actually kind of creepy, scary. And he pretty much puts out these theories and fake theories that African Americans are the original indigenous people. And he'll go off and say that the indigenous people here, Wanchaloa and myself and others in the chat, are all Siberians or Asians, and we're not the original people of this continent. That's really dangerous. And we had to delete a video last time because certain people were saying things and that's all I'll say about that. But we discussed like why aren't people like Dane Calloway? Why aren't their videos like checked by the admins on YouTube? You know, they say stuff that is pretty much like white supremacist stuff. You know, and you see the white supremacists, they get their channels shut down. But Dane Calloway says that we're like all Asians and we're not the original people here. That contributes to Indigenous erasure. But Dane Calloway still has his videos being posted. You know, so where's his check at? Where's Tariq Nasheed's check at? He says the exact same radical crap. It's really radical stuff. And then you've got others. Aboriginal TV, other clowns that say this stuff, that we aren't the original people. Just that we're not indigenous to the continents. It's really crazy. And yet, like, they have big followings. So people on this channel obviously like extremely gullible. But yeah, I won't get too worked up. It's Christmas Eve, folks. And I want to enjoy the peaceful time we got here. We got J Money in the house. I don't know who J Money is. I just wanted to say J Money. He pays people to promote his agenda. Oh, yeah, definitely Big N. I'm sure he did. I remember I left a comment one time on Aboriginal TV's stream. And I was like, I bet you $5 you pay people, or you pay to get all these views. And my comment got deleted. He didn't delete anyone else's comment, or other people they're criticizing, but deleted mine. So obviously he does. But again, I don't want to spend too much time on them. But yeah, they're all like crazy people. Frick, they probably like didn't even get through middle school.
Probably not.
No offense to people that have family members that did not get through middle school. I'm just specifically pointing them out. But again, oh, you're referring to Dane Calloway. Oh, okay. Yeah, then I'm sure Dane does too. You know, I completely believe you, Big Ant. And his slogan is, I'm just here to make you think. But he really should change it to, I'm just here to make you stupid. Because that's what he's done. He has like again, like hundreds. If you look at his videos, he gets like 60,000 views per video, man. And he's promoting a very dangerous ideology. Now, sure, you can say, who cares? Like, it's not going to go anywhere. But he's still contributing to something. Then that's Indigenous erasure. It's really bad. You know, our friends in AIDL talk about this all the time. I wish more people would, like, listen. And I think we will once we get to more points addressing these serious issues. But again, a lot of other stuff going on too, and we try to address that as well. Elena Soledad asked, I'm new to watching the live podcast. Can I ask how you all started? Wanchaloa?
Yeah, so like I just saw Marcus on a Facebook page called Mexica Tribe, and he was literally saying shit that I would say. Like, it's like we thought the same. So I was like, wow, who's this guy that's like copying me or whatever? But he wasn't copying me. I'm just saying that'd be stupid. And that's what like reached out to him, and then we like started like a small little Facebook group, and then we just kept talking. Like one time we got on the phone, and I was like, maybe it'd be cool if people could actually like listen to what we're saying. I think they might like it. And we like made the podcast, and we were just gonna share our Mexica Tribe Facebook, and I just assumed we'd get like 60 subs or something. And I was wrong. We got way more than that. So it's been a year, and we got like 1681 or something. Yeah, 1681.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but like 22 months it takes to get like 1,000 subs, and we got it in like 6 months, and we like have you guys to thank for that. So thank you all so much. Thank you for like telling people about our channel. You guys are like the reason. Well, I mean, yeah, one of the really main reasons why we continue on. To do this, letting people know about us. So yeah, thank you all so much. We can't be more thankful for this, man.
For sure, man.
But
for sure.
yeah,
I wonder what we'll be at in 22 months. Like, because like I said, that's the average time it takes people to get to 1,000, and we're well over 1,000 already. So be interesting to see.
Yeah, yeah, it really will be interesting to see. We'll see where the future takes us, but I'm confident that we'll be all right.
22 months. That should be like October of 2022. That should be the 22-month mark.
Yeah, yeah, I'm also curious too.
So
Let's
it'll
see
be
how that
it'll be
goes.
October 31st, 2022 will be the 22-month mark, and we can actually make a video saying, "Oh, this is where we got to."
I want to catch up to Ancient Americas. Shout out to
Oh,
shout out
man,
to
I don't
Ancient
know. That's
Americas.
awesome, dude. I don't even know.
Yeah, shout out to Ancient Americas. It's a great channel. You know, learning about
Yeah.
Indigenous history. He's a great guy. But yeah, Juanchelo and I started through Facebook. We had similar views. I was posting stuff. I don't know if you posted this much stuff, but I did. I just like wanted to, and this kind of, I could go in a little bit further in detail. It's just like, I was at a point in my life where like, you know, I didn't, again, like did not see myself as a Hispanic person anymore. And I clearly like saw myself as an Indigenous person. I knew I was, but I didn't have anywhere to go. No one to connect to. I live in a mostly, you know, white environment. But so I didn't really have any, like, obviously Indigenous people to talk to around me. So I made my own path. So the Mexica group was nice enough to let me in, even though I wasn't even Mexican. And I met, you know, a lot of great people in there. I met Juan Chiloa. We managed to establish communication, talked a little bit, and then we made up the idea of creating a channel. And it was just like, hey, you know, we'll see where it goes, right? And, you know, over about a span of almost 12 months now, here we are. You know, we were talking on StreamYard with people like listening to my story. Like, it's really awesome. I really look forward to what we can do in the future. I'm very, very happy about this,
Ironically
where
enough, on Mexica tribe, I've like been banned twice and came back.
I got banned for no reason. I didn't even say
Are you
anything and I
still
got
banned?
banned.
Are you still
No,
banned?
no, no. They
Okay.
let me back in. But I remember
Yeah.
I was like banned. And I was like, why am I banned? Like, I didn't even say anything,
Dude, I
man.
got banned twice, man. I had a message that I was like, dude, I was like, what do I even do, man? So,
Yeah, really, seriously. I think Ko said, I have to go, guys. Of watching next stream. Padayon.
yeah,
Hey, thank you so
have a
much.
good one, man.
Yeah, have a good one. Now, to address the other comment. Someone said
Lena
something about
asked if
Peru.
you've been back to Peru.
Yeah, I have been. I went back a couple of years ago. I met a friend there. I didn't really go with the intent of looking for family at the time, but I did go. I managed to go to Lima, Cusco, Puno, a couple of other cities too. It's a really beautiful country. I encourage other people to go there as well. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a very beautiful place. Yeah, that's what I would say. But I do have plans on going back again. Someone said something about Clear Bear. Clear Bear School. Shout out to him.
Pretty cool.
Well, he was also on our channel. Man, it feels like
Yeah.
Does it not feel like forever ago?
We need to have him back on the channel, but yeah, it's been a minute. I'm glad he did get on our channel. I mean, it helped. But we have fallen way behind his channel, dude. His channel has like 3,100 something, so he has almost
seriously?
like twice what we got.
Shout out to Clear Bear. He means well. He's him and I have somewhat similar paths, but he's been on his path like way longer than mine.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sure.
I think Elena asked,
How long have we been talking about these topics? Literally, it's about to be a year on December 31st. Like that, we've had the channel anyways, because we've been. I mean, we're talking on Facebook like over a year now at this point. Like in comments and my background, I was born in Coahuila, Mexico, and I was brought to the U.S. when I was 4 legally. Was legal until I was 15. Was in the immigration process for 9 years. I'm a citizen now, and that was recent. Like that was like 3 weeks ago. Reconnected to my nation, the Guachil Nation, San Luis Potosí, and I've learned quite a bit about the culture there. I've got videos here, and yeah, that's like a brief summary.
yeah, again, like shout out congrats to Wanchloa again. Getting your citizenship. That's awesome.
Hopefully I get that Portuguese citizenship soon with that Jewish ancestry.
Hey, my DNA test showed I got 1% Portuguese. Which is weird because it wasn't like that like a few months ago. That Ancestry DNA always makes changes. It showed that I had 1%.
Yeah.
But does anyone else? If I would be curious for those that are on here, that have watched a lot of our videos, which one was like your guys' favorite one? Should we drop the link? Or what do you think? I'm tempted to. We'll drop it.
Fine. We could always screen if it's somebody.
We'll stream. We're watching you, Rancho.
Yeah, we don't want you on tonight. We don't.
I don't want to get into a heated argument, man.
Yeah, seriously, man.
It's Christmas Eve. I want you to enjoy your Christmas Eve just as much I want us to enjoy.
Dude, Jay Money said the roast of the mestizo TED Talk. Dude, that shit was so funny, dude. People got so fucking mad. But I don't think I don't think people have been more mad than that video where we said like roasting up on the I'm a mestizo TED Talk, dude.
Oh yeah, man. That was in our earlier stages, man. I know.
Oh, man, dude.
We came out hitting. We came out a little bit aggressive.
That shit was so funny, dude. People got so bored. I remember the comments was like 300 comments deep. I think somebody deleted the original comment, but it was 300 comments deep, dude. And people were getting so mad.
Like, you guys are so mean. You don't know anything about mestizo.
Yeah, it's like, why are you oppressing
like,
mestizos? Why are you attacking me? It's like, what? It's like, you guys always attack us. It's like, all we're doing is a preemptive strike.
Preemptive strike, man. You got anything going on? Someone said OT Rancho's coming. I mean, hope he's sleeping.
Yeah,
a long night.
You said he was streaming for 11 hours? Dude, that's crazy.
It's crazy, man. Yeah, we got to do that.
Stream for 11 hours. How do you have 11 hours of free time, man? I don't know.
Well, one day we'll do that. We'll have a lot of people on. We'll do an all out. All out blitz. So, who else had a question? The ventriloquist? Who is the ventriloquist? Do you know who we're talking about?
No, I don't even know what a ventriloquist is.
It's
Let me look that up. Let me Google this shit.
I knew what that was. It's late, so
I've heard the word
not all
before.
there.
Let's see, a person who can speak or utter sounds that seem to come from somewhere else. Oh, okay. Like he must have mean like the Conquistador video where I was like, we're all speaking like this, like that.
The hate keeping. Yeah. Yeah, we made a lot of videos about.
I can do another voice, but like, well, I'm not gonna look retarded. But I can do one more voice. Like, let me get into character here. I don't know what to say actually.
Look, I got a monkey on my shoulder.
Marcus is a gatekeeper. There's like an example. I can do that one, but I'm still mastering that.
Yeah, I can try accents too, but
you can do the British one.
I'm kind of shy right now. I show my face on here, but like I get a little bit shy when I gotta make fun.
Well, you did the stupid British accent. I remember that. That shit was funny.
Right, that was pretty funny. I see. Like I won't go further. I think I can do some foreign accents pretty well.
Race is a social construct.
Kevin was in here. Bye, Kevin. Did you see Kevin Wanchloa?
Oh no, I didn't see him.
He might have been a troll.
Oh.
I know a certain someone was dealing with some trolls on his stream. Big trolls. Trolls from the depths of the great beyond.
I just think that you're a clown.
Yo, we got Kevin. But he's got his face cut. Sure, Kevin, we'll let you come on and like put your picture on here and give us some problems. I don't know, man. He looks like someone that I saw on someone else's stream wearing shades and a mask. And then
he looks pretty shady, man.
When he got on someone's stream, he showed a different face. I mean, he showed something else, and it wasn't someone's face.
Yeah,
That's all I'll
I
say.
think that's a bad idea, dude.
Yeah, sorry, Kevin, but you look a little shady, my friend.
Yeah, you look pretty shady, dude.
To all of y'all on here, we got a dude named Kevin, but he's gone.
Yeah, I just kicked him out.
Oh, you did? You kicked him out? Oh, I thought he left willingly.
No,
I thought
he just looks shady, and I was like, I don't trust this.
No, I swear to you, like on Rancho Stream, he had like some idiot who like had the shades and a mask on, and then like the second he got on his stream, he like changed his picture to something else.
Oh yeah, I'm sure I know what it is, dude. I know what these people do.
Yeah, we know what they're about now.
Yeah, it's already happened.
We got like a year of experience. Yeah, remember when we had Radical on? I remember that they started like coming in.
Yeah, I remember, dude.
Yeah, but someone say sounds like Lakota guy. Big Ant.
Maybe it's my maybe it's the other voice I did. I don't know.
Maybe, or I think he's talking about his Killer Shades. Those are some nice shades that Lakota guy has on, I will say.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah. Speaking, telling stories, called them. Yeah, we had to do. I mean, honestly, I don't think we dealt with trolls a lot in the mid part of our year with the podcast.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like died down a little bit. I mean, well, I had a troll. I won't say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then I dealt with quite a bit of BS on Discord, like shortly after I got back from Mexico in September. But thankfully, I don't even let it get on Mexico at this point. It's just stupidity. It's just stupidity. But yeah, it's been pretty quiet now. Hopefully it stays that way.
Hey, Wanchaloa. Kevin's back. What do you want to do? You want to kick him out?
Yeah,
he's waving his hand to say bye. Bye, Kevin.
Yeah, see you, Kevin.
Man. I feel bad though if it's like actually someone that's like nice.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't trust it, dude. My podcast senses are tingling.
Yeah. What about this one?
Let me see. Antonio, I don't know, bro. Well, he's not even showing any pictures, though.
Yeah, I remember back when we were innocent, we didn't prepare for this.
Yeah. Oh, there's somebody else. I don't know, dude. I don't trust any of these people, man.
That's true.
Wait, can't you?
You know what?
Wait, you can put a background, right? Can't you?
Yeah, I can. But I also, like, let's be honest, I think we're all going to be drunk for tomorrow night. Yeah. Are we?
Well, kind of, I guess. I might drink a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably... Wait, no. I got to leave the day after, so wait. Frick, tomorrow's Christmas Eve. Today's Christmas Eve.
Yeah, right now.
My gosh, it's like 2:05 right now. How are y'all on? We got like 18 viewers. Shout out to the 18 viewers, even the trolls.
For sure.
Y'all are, it's always funny that like the trolls...
They're like the biggest fans, dude.
They're like our biggest fans, but they also contribute. Like, I just had someone, like, try to, like, I don't know, make me look silly. And after he did that, we got, like, 10 more subs. So, keep it up. Like, we want more subs.
Every comment, like, every hateful comment or any of the bullshit, it only helps the algorithm out. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it only helps the algorithm out. So... Just keep on.
Yeah. Although I've noticed, like, when we first started this channel, we would get hateful comments on the YouTube, but like, that's lessened now because it's like whenever somebody puts something negative, it's like they get the shit beat out of them by a bunch of our subs. Dude, it's kind of funny to see.
Yeah, it usually is funny. I think I know who LA Mexican is, and I'm gonna tell him adios.
Oh shit.
So. Does anyone have like anything else they wanted to like talk about, discuss that's not a troll? But in other news, what were we gonna say? Yeah, having more guests on, more things, which I think is best we keep to ourselves. but we do have a lot of things planned for the future because I don't want to I don't want
Yeah.
people to get any ideas.
Yeah.
Man, I'm getting hungry. It's not good to eat at 2:00 in the morning. So for those of you, or for those that try and lose a little Christmas weight, I think the best way is to just drink water after 6 p.m. That's what helped me. I stick with salads, and it was good to go. Someone asked, what do we think about Chile? I think they just elected a very liberal person. Was this president? Governor? I'm not sure. But I hope he turns out well for him. That was Jose's question. Let me see here. Hey, can you... Okay, I thought I heard complete silence.
Oh.
How do we unite natives? Well, as far as uniting, we definitely want to bring people together to fall under an important cause. But right now it's just a process of getting more people to see who they are as native or indigenous.
Yeah, I don't even know if unification is possible because a lot of the tribes, they have their own agendas, they have their own goals, and sometimes that conflicts with another tribe, or they have bad beef or history. So I don't know how realistic it is to try to unite everybody. But you could always try to get them behind a specific cause. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Do we know who Kevin H is? It's the same guy, right? Kevin, I was tempted to let you in, but I saw someone else with a mask and shades on. Again, as I just brought up earlier, tried to get into his stream, and he ended up doing shady stuff, weird stuff. So, hope you understand. So, the electrician. Are you guys planning to make the channel into a small startup or a business opportunity? Yeah, definitely. We plan on taking this channel to another level. Definitely more steps are ahead, but it's one step at a time.
Yeah, I'm open to any possibility.
Yeah, definitely. This guy said nationalism. Again, I think in terms of uniting natives, obviously there's a lot of nations and tribes, so it gets kind of difficult. But I think that if we want to bring those that are reconnecting together, yeah, I think that's good. And those that are from nations that want to support us, that's fine. I'm all for bringing everyone together too, but I just think from experience at Wanchelo, both him and I have seen, it's usually nations, those of indigenous communities, stick with indigenous communities, but we have people in our Discord that are from indigenous communities, and that's cool. But I think right now, we're trying to again, we're in certain phases, and that's bringing more people to see ourselves as indigenous people, because that's who we are, those that are taking this path, of course. Then we can talk about whatever type of unity would come from that after. But again, it's a multi-step phase, multiple phases. I'm tired.
Yeah, we might have to turn in, dude.
Yeah, we might have to turn in. Can we show us our technical setup? Sure. So I got a mic. I forgot what type of mic this is called. It's called Mod. Dang. All right, I'll put on my glasses to read it. Moano. I can spell it out, or I can just put it up in the description. For the microphone, and then I bought these headphones. I don't know where these headphones are from. one audio headphones, and then I bought the ring light. I think it's like a medium-sized ring light. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I use. We purchased StreamYard. There's like 3 versions of StreamYard. The first one's free. The second one, you can have like more people, but it costs money. And the third one, you can have more, I think, places to stream. And also like HD. Maybe a couple more people you can add in your stream. But yeah, that's pretty much how we run this thing. Wanchalo, I know you have a Yeti mic.
Yeah. We're trying to see, like, once we get like our first like monetized check, if I'm just gonna give it all to Marcus so he can get a Blue Yeti, unless you guys want to donate to Marcus. And you can get one.
We gotta set up that. I got an HP, by the way, for that. Someone asked Kevin.
Oh yeah, I got a.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
really?
PC.
Oh, okay. Hey, you know what? I feel bad, Kevin. I'm sorry. You can come on in. We'll give Kevin like a couple minutes because he's not a troll. So, and if he is a troll, then I'll take the blame for that.
All right.
Okay. Kevin, you can come back in.
That's if he wants to, anyway.
That's if he wants to, and he's not like mad at us. But I hope he understands for like some reason. But I should have been understanding too. But yeah, is anyone post-COVID, new Christmas? Anyone doing anything cool for Christmas? If you aren't, then I hope y'all are like staying at home, being safe. I know it's a new world out there. So just like make sure y'all are making like the right decisions next time. Okay. Yeah, Kevin, again, I really do apologize. I should have taken that into consideration with the shades. I just kind of got a little nervous and just wanted to be safe. But yeah, definitely next time, Kevin. You're more than welcome to come on. And again, I hope you understand. But yeah, all right. I'll give us like a minute or two, and then we'll wrap up.
All right.
Yeah. It is 2:14. What time? Oh, we went for 2 hours and 11 minutes. Not bad. I mean, we answered the questions. Some people wanted to come on. Some people couldn't. Again, we will have something going on probably a week after. We won't say what yet. A little bit of a surprise. But
Yeah.
I think you guys will like it. And again, more guests, more videos. Tamales. I would like to have some tamales. I know I pronounced that wrong. Isn't it tamales?
Tamales.
Tamales. God. I sound like such an American. Do we collab with AIDL? Yeah, we collab with Lakota Guy. We haven't really had anyone else on recently, but no. Let me rephrase that. We haven't had anyone on, I think, from AIDL except Lakota Guy. We would like to, more than happy to. I think they're all like good people, but so far it has just been Lakota Guy. See, man, I'm going off here. But yeah, other than that, anyone else have any questions before we wrap up here? Give you guys like maybe 20 more seconds. English tamales. Yeah, Big Ant. That's how I freaking. That's how I say tamales. Again, we got our email, got our Discord. If you want to reach out to us, please do. Again, Kevin, I sincerely apologize. And to those that, watched, thank you so much for like taking the time. It's 2:16 on Christmas Eve in the morning. So again, we appreciate it. I hope we were able to answer like everyone's questions, what they had. But, I hope you all have a very good Christmas, or if you don't, happy holidays. And just enjoy the new year. I'll try to post something up, like I said here, before I completely sign off for the year. Mochaloa, do you have anything to add?
Just happy holidays and enjoy your time with your family. And
Even the
the
haters?
supporters, we love you. To the haters, we equally despise you very much, and I wish you nothing but misfortune.
Oh my God, it's Christmas Eve, man. Oh, hey,
well,
man. It's all good.
yeah, it's all good.
But yeah, again, hope you guys all have a very good sleep, good night where you are in this world, and we will see you again in 2022. Y'all take care.